without any further ado, give it up for Meg. Ah, yay.
Rounds of applause. Yay. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, and then English abandoned soccer, but didn't tell the Americans. Didn't tell the Americans that the rules had changed, and then got mad at us for saying the word that they gave us, which
I had no idea. I owe a lot of people different apologies. I had a job offer, and I literally had the flights to work on a cruise, and they were like, okay, we're going to send you next week. And then this was 2020, right? Okay, we're going to push it back a few weeks. And then this few weeks eventually became 2 years.
Did you ever get a chance to do the job?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, actually, which cruise line? Not mad
it was nothing to do with the money, honestly. I am such a Disney nerd, and I love magic.
I'm like, they're mad they got to speak English.
And also, they would rather speak to you in any language that's not English. They would rather speak to you in Spanish, Italian, literally anything else.
And American. Oh.
Exactly.
Whatever you imagine when you think of cruising might be both right and wrong, because cruising isn't one thing. I'm Bill from cruisehabit.com, and I'm a digital nomad working from ship and shore who loves sharing information to make sure people take the right cruises for them. Follow our adventures, enjoy tip videos, ship tours, and more in print and on our YouTube channel. Just visit cruisehabit.com/BSDN. We even host group cruises where you can cruise with us and get special treatment. Again, that's cruisehabit.com/BSDN or cruisehabit.com/bigsexy. Whatever you'll remember.
What up, sexy world travelers? It's your boy, Big Sexy, here with a big thank you to our big, sexy world travelers. They're the folks who went over to bullwiththebutthole.com and subscribe to the podcast. I want to say a big shout out to Billy with cruisehabit.com, Lee Popsicle, Margaret White, Angel Quell, Bree, Chris Lowry, Galen Diggs, Jesus, Joshua Tarr, Michael McKenna, Sebastian Robbins, and Smitty Scoop. If you would like to have your name read out before the show, just become a big, sexy world traveler and subscribe to the podcast. Swing on over to bullwiththebutthole.com and join the fun. Safe travels. What up, sexy world travelers? It's your boy, Big Sexy, here on another bonus episode. Thank y'all for tuning in on another wonderful day. I have a great interview for y'all, so sit tight, relax, and get ready to hear a wonderful conversation about another world traveler who was kind enough to join me and sit down and talk about their story. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this is hitting your ear holes, I hope that it is good. Today's interview is going to be a good friend, now a good friend of mine, but we were strangers when we did the interview. We chatted, we talked, and this person was wonderful. And I get into where we met and all that kind of stuff, the interview. Normally, George Mitchell is with me on this part, but wasn't able to do so. So now we got me doing it. So, you know, these introductions when I'm doing it by myself are quick and easy because I want to get right to the interview. So sit back, relax, and listen to my interview with Meg. Interview. What up, sexy world travelers? It's your boy, Big Sexy, here on another BSDN interview. Today, I had these are one of my favorite kind of interviews, guys. And you know what this is? This is an interview where the person that I'm interviewing, I may have only met one time, don't really know each other. So we get to learn about this person in real time, which is always so much fun for me because I get to be genuinely curious instead of remembering curiosity, if that makes any sense. I get to let me ask this question to see where this goes. I met this person at another networking event in Muy Salsa, which is a restaurant here in Playa del Carmen. Very small, intimate gathering. I think both of us imagined it was going to be a much bigger thing, but it was only like 4 of us, which actually turned out to be really nice because you really got to spend a nice amount of time with each single person and really get to know who they are, kind of what they're about. And of course, when I meet people, I want to dive deeper and get to know them. And let me see if I get this correct. My guest today is an English instructor teaching business English. Is that correct?
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And is originally from England.
Yeah.
And we'll dive into that, but met here in Playa del Carmen. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, give it up for Meg. Yay.
Rounds of applause. Yay. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Wait, hold on. I have it here.
Yeah.
Does it work? Oh, did you hear it?
No.
Were there applause?
No.
Oh, I didn't hear it either. What happened? I have a sound pad here, and it's supposed to. I wonder if it's going to show up in the recording.
We'll never find out.
We'll never know. But I'll know eventually with the edit. But anyway, hi Meg, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. It's so nice to do this and meet properly. Like you said, we met at the networking thing. I was really attracted to your energy and your enthusiasm, and I love this magnetic personality that you have. So yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you very much. Likewise. I was a confession. I am in love with the British, the English accent. I think part of it came up with loving James Bond movies when I was a kid, to being a trained Shakespearean theater, an actor rather. And so anytime I hear it, I go, ooh, I want to know more about this person. Plus I have friends in England, so I always start off with that. So let's start off there. What part of England are you from?
Near Manchester.
Near Manchester, okay. Are you a fan of the Manchester Football Club?
I knew that was going to be the next question before you even said it. I have traveled all over the world, and most people have not heard of Manchester. They've heard of London. But if they have heard of Manchester, the first question is, okay, City or United? And then I have to have this awkward confession that I don't really like football.
That's not an awkward confession at all. You said that there were 2. There's what and United?
Manchester City and Manchester United.
I didn't even know there was 2. I was like, oh,
the richest football clubs in the world, apparently.
Yeah, well, I'm my football is American. I only tangentially know of European football because of I live in the world, and the World Cup happens, and every 4 years there's an Olympics, so they always talk about it. I played European football when I was a kid. I found out recently. I love
how you call it European football. That's really cute.
Yes. Well, versus soccer. I could call it soccer, which is interesting because you say that, but the reason we call it soccer is because of England.
No, we created it.
Yeah, you created the word soccer. So there was way back in the day, and I just recently learned this. So if I'm getting any kind of information incorrect, I'm sorry. But it was called the Association of Football or something along those lines. But ASSOCI, Association. But then they shortened it to ASSOC, right? ASOC. Okay. ASOC. And they had the habit of putting on the end of everything. And this was happening like in the 30s or whatever. And I think it was the 30s, around the 30s. So they were calling soccer or just soccer. Then they brought it over to the America where it popularized, and we were like, oh, it's called soccer. Okay, so this thing is soccer. And we already had American football, so it just made it easier to call this thing soccer, which is what they called it when they brought it over. So it's like soccer.
I had no idea.
Football. Me neither until like maybe 2 months ago. maybe 2 months ago.
I think it's so interesting how languages change like through different countries, you know?
Right. And then what the person was saying was, and then English abandoned soccer,
We're done.
but didn't tell the Americans. Didn't tell the Americans that the rules had changed. And then got mad at us for saying the word that they gave us. Which
I had no idea. I owe a lot of people different apologies.
Yeah, which is very British. So yeah, so I never realized that. I never knew that. So that's very interesting. Well, excellent. I'm also again not a big football fan of sorts. You know, I don't only pay attention when it's in the news. Otherwise, and I say I'm a American football kind of guy. I have a favorite team, but that's about as far as it goes. I can't tell you who's playing when or who's doing what. But besides, this is not a sports channel. This is a travel channel.
I'm on the wrong podcast. I'm not an expert in this.
Right. Right. No, you're on the right podcast because neither am I. Okay. So you were saying you've been traveling all over the world. Where have you been?
I love to be anywhere that's not England, to be honest.
Okay.
So I started off traveling at a young age, and haven't been back to England for a long amount of time since then.
Oh, interesting. Did you start off traveling like with family, or was it just on your own right at the start?
Yeah, like we went on family holidays. I feel very lucky that I had those experiences from a young age to open my eyes to the big, wide world. And then, I was keen to get my independence. So I did a couple of summers in the US at Girl Scout camp. I don't know if you're aware of like summer camp vibes.
I'm 100% I'm aware. I was in the Boy Scouts
nice.
when I was a kid. So I'm aware of the Scout community. And, every year we have to buy their cookies.
Yeah, because they're delicious. Which is your favorite one?
My favorite Girl Scout cookie is probably lemonade or shortbread.
Okay.
I'm a basic bitch. Yeah,
I'm a Thin Mint girl.
I'm about to say my third is Thin Mints. Thin Mints are amazing if you put them in the freezer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then have them. Oh, they're so good. After you put them in the freezer and it's so cold, I love them so much. But those
we
are
used to dip them in the hot chocolate at camp.
Right. I tell you, put it in the freezer and then dip it in hot chocolate. Oh, delicious. Excellent. How long were you in the States for?
So that was for 2 separate summers. So like 4 or 5 months each summer.
Which states?
Which was amazing. Minnesota. I mean,
Both
I
times?
couldn't tell you that I saw. Yeah, I went back to the same camp. I couldn't tell you I saw much of Minnesota because it was in the forest, and I felt like I could have been anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the U.S. Yeah, there's a lot of forests in the U.S. that looks like a lot of other forests in the U.S. So that makes sense.
Exactly.
Well,
but then I went traveling afterwards around the U.S. after I'd finished the camp. So I did the East Coast, which was amazing.
Any time spent on the West Coast at all?
Not yet. It's on my list.
Okay. So you got some more traveling to do as well. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm from the West Coast, so I always love to kind of quote unquote promote,
recommend,
give suggestions on decent places to go and check out, little hidden gems, as it were.
I'll get in touch for some recommendations.
Right. Yeah. 100. Now, when you started traveling independently, where was the first place you really wanted to go?
I love the quote where it says, I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list. Because it's so hard to just pick one place. I don't know. I went to India and Kenya, which was amazing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
2 completely different experiences.
Right.
And then in terms of like living and more settling down rather than traveling, I kind of stayed a bit more local in Europe. So I was in Germany and France.
Excellent. Do you have a particular locale that really spoke to you and spoke to that heart that you were like, this is another home, as it were?
The south of France, the vibes are kind of similar to Playa, actually. Like they're very chilled, laid back. Very different. Like I've also lived in Paris, very different situation than the main capital city.
Right.
Like the south of France with the blue waters, like it's called Côte d'Azur. It's the people are a lot friendlier, I found. And I ended up working in a chocolate
the friendly
factory
French.
Exactly. It was surprising. So yeah, that was a cool experience.
That's amazing. I'm sorry, you said you worked at a chocolate factory. Do tell. What was that like?
Yeah, it's so random because it was quite hot in the south of France. For me, it's not the ideal location to set up something with melting chocolate.
Right.
Um, but it was nice to be in the AC. Yeah, and I was there around Easter time. So they had lots of the chocolate eggs and the cast-offs, the things that had gone wrong, which
Mhm.
was still absolutely delicious. So I got to experience lots of that.
What aspect? What kind of work did you do? Like what was your
Um,
job duties?
yeah, it was like a business internship, translating a lot from French into English for international customers.
So back still in the language department, still in the language
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
But that's beautiful. You're not doing hard manual labor, and you still get to sample delicious chocolate.
I mean, they needed help. They needed feedback, so I was a willing victim.
That sounds like a win-win, delicious win-win, but also potentially fattening situation.
It was,
Yeah.
but it was worth it.
Well, it sounds 100% worth it. Excellent. And you said Germany. What were you doing in Germany?
I've lived there a couple of times, kind of back and forth. So I first went there to be an au pair when I left school. And yeah, I guess to answer your previous question, that was my first solo experience. I lived there
Okay.
for 9 months. Didn't really speak any German, but I did by the end.
Oh, cool.
And then I also lived in a little fairy tale town called Marburg, where actually the Brothers Grimm, like the fairy
Hmm.
tale stories, a lot of their stories are based there.
Oh,
So they
interesting.
have a really big castle, which is very common in Germany, but it's beautiful. And along the walk up to the castle, you have different parts of different fairy tale stories.
Oh,
So there's like
interesting.
a giant glass slipper from Cinderella, or there's like little gnomes and little dwarfs from Snow White. And like
Oh,
you
wow.
explore this on the way up to the castle. So that was cool.
That sounds amazing.
Hmm.
Those kind of little spots in the world are quote unquote on my list as well.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
one of those things that you see like on the Instagram reels, like must see fairy tale towns.
right.
Um, and it's not far from big cities, so it's well connected as well.
That's amazing. And how did you find was it something you located while you were in school, the au pair opportunity?
Everybody finished school and then they went straight to university. And
Okay.
as much as I had loved school, I was a proper nerd, still am. Um, I just felt like I didn't want to go and do another 4 years of education straight away.
Okay.
So I was interested in doing something with my languages and exploring. And so I took a gap year and then went to be an au pair.
Did you go back to university after your gap year?
Yeah, I did.
What,
I wasn't ready
what,
to give up the libraries and the books just yet.
and which university did you end up going to?
University of Birmingham in the UK.
Okay, so
Um,
you went back to the UK.
yeah, but they had a year abroad, so that's when I ended up in different places to use my German and French.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. And then so of the two of Germany and France,
Hmm.
which one did you enjoy more?
That's a really hard question. I spent most of the pandemic in Frankfurt. I kind of got
Okay.
stuck there,
Oof.
which it's a big city. It's very international. It's lots of money. The European Central Bank is there. So that was a cool city, but probably if I lived there again, it would be a different experience with things actually open.
Right.
Whereas when I was in France, it was more travel. Like Paris was a really amazing city to experience. So I think I'm going to have to go back and do both of them again just for a fair test. How does that
Just to
sound?
get you need to do we'll call it the test around the world. We'll see, examine the places both where you've been and the new places to see if
Exactly.
you fit in there. Now,
Yeah.
anytime in Spain?
No, not yet. I've been a couple of
Ooh.
times on trips, but at the time I wasn't learning Spanish. So I love to go to countries where I can use my languages and speak to the local people. So maybe
Hi,
that's a future trip.
I'll say, how you doing with Spanish being here in Mexico? How's your Spanish
Muy
now?
bien.
Oh, nice.
No.
No muy bien. Me,
I'm really trying, but yeah, especially like working from home, I'm not getting out as much to be able to use it and practice.
Right.
But yeah, I'm doing the apps and I'm trying to write down a few bits of vocabulary. But I think
Are you?
languages
Which
you have
apps
to
do you
experience them.
use? Yeah. Are you on Duolingo?
Of course, I've got my
Okay.
streak going, and I've also
Excellent.
discovered a new one called Golingo, which is just about speaking. So that's pretty cool as well.
Oh, Duolingo. I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah, because I've been doing Duolingo as well. Got my streak going
Yeah,
as
we'll
well.
have to
Very happy.
connect.
Yeah, it's 100%. We'll have to share, and then we'll have to do those friend quests.
Yeah.
Although I reached the part of Duolingo where they're the sentences you will never use ever.
Okay.
Um,
Like the random, like the cow cooked dinner.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. The dogs didn't close the barn door.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay, I understand you're teaching me the vocabulary for close. You're teaching me the vocabulary for door. You're teaching me the vocabulary for dog. But I don't need to know that sentence is never going to pop up.
Yeah, I mean, it does have limited utility in that aspect. For me, like when I'm learning and teaching languages, like learning a whole phrase is a lot more useful.
Right.
So learning close in a context that would be more appropriate is going to be useful, but everybody finds it different utility.
How long have you been teaching language?
On and off for 10 years, which when I think about it is like, that's a really long time.
Wow.
But yeah, I love it. In different aspects. I started off, teaching the kids that was au pairing.
Right.
I've been in classrooms. I've been in pandemic Zoom jail. And now, now I'm back to being online. You know the feeling. You experienced it too, I'm sure.
I do. Well, it was very interesting. So one thing I love, quote unquote love, about the pandemic is it is a universal touchstone.
Mm-hmm.
The world is one of the very few things the entire world went through at the same time. Right.
I've never thought about it like that. Like it's a positive way of seeing it.
Right. Like if you think of, horrible tragedies, right? Like 9/11 or like the current floods in Valencia, right? Those are touchstones that we're aware of, but we all are not experiencing. We know of it because that's how big of an event is. But we're just, that's terrible that happened. The pandemic affected every single person on the globe, minus, some secluded tribes who are still secluded that don't know what's going on or whatever.
They're like, what pandemic?
They don't even know what a pandemic is. They don't even know why some of their people died off. They were just sick and had the cough and, oh no, and the spirits got them or whatever they believe, But it's a touchstone. Every interview I've done, as I start talking about travel, especially we're talking about travel, because travel halted for a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. Like completely shut down. Oh, where did you get stuck is a common.
Exactly. I was stuck in Frankfurt for 15 months and I was like, I'm never going to leave.
Yeah. Right. We were quote unquote stuck in Vegas. I mean, we were living in Vegas, but we had plans to travel, but we couldn't travel anywhere. And being in a city like Vegas, which is a popular tourist destination, it was very weird to have
like a ghost town vibe, I imagine.
Crazy. Like going down the strip and there's nobody there and the casinos are boarded up.
No way.
And the streets are like empty. I'm like, oh man, if I was a movie producer in a film, I would film now. I'd get some people out here.
It's like a surreal feeling, isn't it?
Very much so. I mean, imagine London, right? As big as hustle and bustle it was, and I'm pretty sure this happened. Nobody out in the streets. No one.
Yeah.
Not driving.
There was footage of like empty tubes.
Yeah, like yeah. So we all have that touchstone, So I definitely understand the quote unquote stuck, and if you're stuck in a foreign country, right, where you were traveling, and then you couldn't leave a place. Do you have family back in the UK?
Yeah, all my family is still there. I had a job offer. And I literally had the flights to work on a cruise, and they were like, okay, we're going to send you next week. And then this was 2020, right? And then they were like, okay, we're going to push it back a few weeks. And then this few weeks eventually became 2 years. So I had this job to go work on a cruise, and it was like, I'm waiting, they're waiting. And it was the last industry to kind of revive
Come
itself
back,
and come
right?
back.
Well,
So it was
and the
just a
first
weird in
industry to get
between
the
time.
hardest. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And so the very first industry to really get hit, and the last one to recover. Did you ever get a chance to do the job?
Yeah, I did. It was an amazing and really difficult experience, but yeah, I had worked on it for 2 years, and that was an amazing travel experience.
Oh, excellent. Which cruise line?
Disney.
Look at you go, going where the money is. Not mad
It
at
was
you.
nothing to do with the money, honestly. I am such
No,
a Disney nerd, and I love all
yeah,
the magic.
me too.
Really?
I am. Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
Hold on, what? This is how much of a Disney nerd I am.
Some people say it to me sarcastically, so I have to check. Oh, okay, I like it.
My
Never
shirt
grow
says
up.
I'm so fly I never land. Yeah,
I like it.
yeah. I'm a huge Disney. This how simpatico. I didn't know we were going to be talking about Disney, and I just threw on my Disney shirt because I'm always representing.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. Speaking of Disney, and I spent my 50th birthday at Disney World in
Nice.
Orlando. Have you been?
Yes, love it.
Oh, good. So apparently Disney World and myself were born 1 month apart.
So you had the 50th celebration together?
Yeah, and
The
I had
castle
never
was beautiful. I loved
and
it.
I had never been to Disney World before. Right.
What an
I grew
amazing
up,
first experience.
right, exactly. And there's big 50s everywhere, and I'm celebrating 50, taking all these wonderful pictures. We do all 4 parks. It was an amazing experience. And so yeah, I could go to Disneyland all the time. I lived in Southern California. That's where I grew up. That's what you did.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I don't think I could. I think I would be exhausted, especially the one in Florida with the 4 parks. Like,
well,
it's not a relaxing vacation at all.
Disneyland you can do because it's only 2 parks.
Mhm.
It's just Disneyland and California Adventure. You can do all parks within 3 days. You can get the full experience in 3 days. Just get a hopper pass and then do what you like. I love Disneyland because it's the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite Disney movie? Or
So I used to work.
give me your top 3.
Okay, I used to work in Disneyland Paris, and they asked me this for the interview.
Okay.
And so you think I'd have an answer ready, but I don't. I love Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
I think this is really magical. Some people have mixed feelings about the remake, but I like both the one with Emma Watson and the original one. Just the songs are like, oh. When I was working on the cruise line, Frozen got played on repeat. So I have, fallen in love with that one kind of by force again. And I think The Lion King will always hold a special place in my heart. Just the opening music is like, oh,
it's moving
right in the feels.
It's moving.
Yeah.
Punch right in the great choices. The Frozen one is. I think I would have the reverse effect. I would get so tired of Frozen. Interesting enough, a friend of mine played Elsa in Disney World in Orlando.
She was friends with Elsa.
No. She was Elsa.
Yeah, that's what we say. She was.
Oh, that's how you say it? She was friends with Elsa?
We don't want to ruin the magic, Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair. Right. Yeah. She Disney kayfabe.
Tip for you.
Disney kayfabe is ridiculous. Yes, she was friends with Elsa.
What an amazing experience.
She left. She was in. My wife is a marriage and family therapist, and Cheyenne was in her cohort, and she left being a therapist to go to Disney College.
Yeah, it's once in a lifetime. If you get the chance, you have to go.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing that you were in Disney and then work for now. Were you able to get the Disney cruise gig because they knew you worked at the parks? Was it intercommunication aspect or?
I thought it would be more connected than it is. I think technically, probably some Disney fan is going to hate on me and say that it's wrong, but I think technically they're owned by 2 different companies, the cruise line and the parks. So there wasn't as much connection as I thought. Like I did the traditions again, which is like the week of training where you learn about the magic and you learn about the Disney way. So I repeated that on the cruise line, and a lot of it was transferable, but a lot of it was a different way of like interacting with the guests because they're staying with you rather than just there for the day, you know.
And what was your job on the cruise line? Was it also language based?
Inadvertently, it was working with kids, but lots of the kids spoke other languages, so that was useful.
Oh, nice, excellent. What have you found that your either your favorite language to teach or like the easiest language to learn?
If you want an easy language to learn, avoid German. That would be my tip.
No, I will not. I will not try to learn German at all. No.
If you're looking for a challenge, it's a great one. I think Spanish has been easier because of my French background. I think there's a lot of links there, and probably if I tried Italian, it might be a similar situation. But yeah, they're the only ones I've got so far.
What's been your favorite?
I actually do love German because it's so structured, and they give you a rule, and it follows the rule, and there's not many exceptions. Whereas French is so like laissez-faire, so casual. They're like, here's the rule, and here's all the exceptions that don't fit the rule, which drives me a little bit insane.
Same as English. Like,
oh yeah, 100%. That's why it's hard to teach.
English is very hard to teach. Here's the rule. Say it this way, except for in this concept. We made up this little mnemonic song to help you learn it, but there are exceptions to that song. So learn the song, but don't. It's not going to always help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many languages do you speak? You have Spanish?
I speak one strong. That's English.
Okay. You're doing great at that one.
Yeah. I'm damn near native at this point. And I speak I'm learning Spanish. So my Spanish is getting better. Mejor.
Sí.
Yeah, I said the word better in Spanish. And I remember speaking French.
Okay.
I have enough French knowledge to say that I don't speak French very well. Like the first sentences I usually learn to say is I don't speak this language.
Yeah, that's helpful. And also, if you try and speak French in France, they're not very encouraging. They're not very motivating at all.
At all. We went to France for the very first time this year. And I kept trying. I know the merci and bonjour and all that stuff, but people speak to me like rapid fire French, and oh no parlez-vous français, and then they're like, oh, like they're mad they got to speak English.
Yeah, and also they would rather speak to you in any language that's not English. I don't understand this like hate between us. They would rather speak to you in Spanish, Italian, literally anything else, but English is their last resort.
And American. Oh.
Exactly. They're like, oh, like be fluent or don't bother.
Right.
I feel like that's the attitude. Whereas most other languages or most other countries, in my experience, they're so grateful that you just have a little bit. They're like, wow, this is amazing. You've got a few phrases. Let me teach you some more.
Right.
Not the case in France.
Not the case in France. No. Shout out to all my French listeners. We love you.
We do love you. And we love the croissants and the patisserie.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, your bureaucrats can suck a dick as far as I'm concerned. What would you say is probably the most, I have to imagine like either India or Kenya, but what's the most exotic locale that you have been to that sticks with you? Yeah,
probably either of those two. I don't know if it's exotic, but Alaska was really like a once in a lifetime experience for me.
Oh, really? Did you go via cruise or the trip?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, when you're on the Disney cruise, like what was your where were your ports? Yeah.
So I did 5 contracts, and I feel so lucky that in each of the 5 contracts, I had a different itinerary. I was on 2 different ships, so they changed the itineraries. So the first one I did like Miami, Caribbean. Second one I did Europe, which was literally all over from Iceland and Norway to Italy and Greece. I did another one, which was New Orleans and Texas. And then Disney's private island in the Caribbean as well.
Right.
My 4th one was Alaska, and then my 5th one was Australia, New Zealand.
Oh, just so you know, Meg, you lived one of my dreams.
Everybody says this, but it's so hard to work on a cruise ship, let me tell you.
I 100% want to work on a cruise ship. I know how I do a lot of cruising. We're very cruise forward here at Big Sexy Digital Nomad. Matter of fact, our sponsor is cruisehabit.com. Yeah, shout out to Billy and Larissa. Hang on one second. I'm doing it right here.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Larissa.
Come talk ship with us at cruisehabit.com/BSDN.
Safe travels.
Yeah, they're our sponsors. Cruisehabit.com is a great website with cruise information and all this other stuff. I met them on Virgin Voyages and became close friends. And we love Virgin Voyages. And then, started a podcast talking about cruising, and they came to sponsor. So it was very wonderful. So I love cruising, and I want to do as much cruising as possible.
Where's your favorite place to go?
Whoa. So far, my favorite cruises has been, I love Hawaii, but
still on my bucket list.
For our honeymoon, we did a European cruise from leaving Rome or leaving Civitavecchia. I think
it's like Civitavecchia or something.
Yeah, and then cruise Italy and the Greek Isles in
Beautiful.
Greece. It was wonderful. Santorini is one of my wife's favorite places in the world. So we got to go to Santorini and take all those beautiful pictures and see the beaches
with
and
the blue tops.
Yeah, she loved that. I had a great time in Italy with the transatlantic. Here's the thing: I become cruise ship famous. One, my name is Big Sexy. 2, I love karaoke, and I do it well. 3, I always get involved in the activities. So
I can imagine that.
So a transatlantic, when you're 8 days at sea, all I'm doing is becoming cruise ship famous.
Yeah.
Right. So
the transatlantic is a hard route, especially if the weather's not good.
I love it.
Maybe for a guest, yes, but maybe for the crew, it's not the best.
Well, I've always said that if I work on a cruise, I'm always going to be in the entertainment.
Yes, 100%.
Right, and the entertainment portion of employees, while there's some crossover duties, they also still get to behave almost as guests. There is some overlap. Yeah, and that's the life that I would live.
Okay.
Yeah, very much so, because that's my field, right? I'm a theater kid, and I actually wrote an improv play that I'm trying to sell to cruise ships, specifically for cruise ships, because it's both scripted and improvised, and it's designed for cruise ships' smaller stages, and you can hire very few actors, and it's a different show every time it's performed because of the improv element.
That's why I was confused a little bit that you've written an improv play, but now it makes more sense.
Right. Yeah. There's an improv play with a play structure designed for cruise ships. But enough about me. We're talking about you. So what has been most difficult, or the difficulty you faced, like teaching language, especially like business language? Like what difficulties did you find doing that?
I love teaching business English because everybody kind of recoils and they think it sounds super boring and so dry, and why would you want to learn that? Why would you want to teach that? But I feel like it's for people that already have a good level of English, but they just want to refine it. So I'm speaking to people that are already professionals in their field, they're already experts in their industry, which I find so interesting because I actually learn a lot from them about things that I would never know otherwise. So for me, it's the connection between these people that already know a lot, but it's just helping them a little bit more.
And how is teaching business English different than teaching regular English? What are the differences there?
It's a lot more corporate, a lot more professional. How you would write an email, how to write a CV. a lot of it's actually small talk, which maybe doesn't sound very businessy, but it's, those few minutes in the elevator when you're with the CEO and you don't know what to say to him in English, or when you're like waiting for a Zoom call to load and you're waiting for everybody to get there. Instead of the awkward silence, you're able to talk about the weather or the football or whatever. So it's just
Interesting.
those like little conversations. And yeah, like a lot of what I teach is business idioms, which all the words in the phrase, but you don't know what it means as a complete
Oh,
thing.
interesting. That's fascinating. Like I find that I've always found the concept of language fascinating, and I love talking to folks who teach language. And I never heard of like when you first introduced yourself as a business English teacher, I went, oh, I've never heard of that niche.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my wife used to work in the corporate sector, uh, teaching language in that business environment. I'm gonna have to ask her if she was also doing, teaching business English, but she was responsible for setting up like in Thailand and
Mhm.
teaching them how to do it, Americanized structures and policies and things of that nature. Do you end up
Yeah.
teaching like business policies at all, or is it just really just how to have much more of the small talk in between
Yeah, it's more
client
of
and
like
customer?
the idioms. There is a lot of overlap, I do teach
Right.
a lot of grammar, like why we use the present continuous instead of the present simple. But it's there is a lot of things that they have in common with the normal English, I guess. But the
Okay.
business English is more like refining it. So why you would say I require instead of I need. Just like a little subtle difference that makes you sound
Okay.
more elevated in your speech.
Excellent. Now, how did you come across this as a career path? Like, did you find this in university, or
It's
how did
funny
that
to me that you
happen?
describe it as a career path because to me, I feel like I just fell into it. Um, I studied business and English. So for me, it combines two things that I love and that I'm passionate about. And yeah, I have a TEFL qualification, which is teaching English as a foreign language.
Hmm.
And then I've had experiences, like I said, with kids, teaching them. When I lived in Frankfurt, I was teaching bankers because of a lot of the finance. And yeah, now I've started my own business. So I'm, developing the career, so to say, as we go
Yeah.
along.
Oh well, what's the name of your business?
Mega language coach.
Mega Language Coach. And for the viewers of the podcast, it's written right underneath her name there. And I love it because your name is Meg. So if it's
Exactly.
the
I'm
Mega
glad you
Language
get it.
Coach. Oh, I mean, look, I recognize names and I understand the naming of things very well. How long have you been in business for yourself?
Yeah, just a few months. I
Oh,
started it
brand
over the
new.
summer, yeah, when and then started this digital nomad lifestyle properly. So yeah, even though I've
How
been
that,
teaching for a long time, it's something I've always thought about doing and had a little bit of hesitation and fear. So I'm glad I've finally done it.
excellent. How long have you been in Playa?
July, I got here. Yeah.
Okay. There's
So
something
yeah,
about
just a
Playa.
few months.
Businesses start here
Yeah.
and they grow here. So have you already finding success, or is it slow moving? How's the business structure going?
Yes to both. I have had
Good.
success, but it's also slow. I think I'm learning a lot of patience. I'm sure you have an experience with that.
Hmm.
And definitely, I've learned a lot about myself, not hunting and going out to get prospects, but more like being patient and sowing the seeds and harvesting them later is an analogy that I'm trying to teach myself a lot.
Good. And how's that going? Personally, how you feeling? Are you teaching it? Are you learning it? Are you picking up what you're putting down? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, like it's human. Some days we have better days than others, but I'm loving the challenge of it. I'm loving that I'm having to learn how to create a website. I'm learning how to write blog posts. I'm doing the social media things that I've never really been involved with before. Because if I'm not doing it myself, nobody's going to do it for me. So figuring out how to send an invoice, all these really basic things that they sound basic if you know how to do them, but
If
if
you know
you've
how to
never
do
done them
them,
before, then it's all brand new
it's
and it's a big learning curve.
right. And but the good news is you've experienced learning throughout your life. You love learning,
Yes.
and so that's helpful. So but to point you in the right direction. Here's where you can go to learn this, and you'll take the time and energy to do it.
Yes.
That's
Time is a big
amazing.
factor, I feel, like not having enough time to do all the things I want to do. And I
Right.
remember speaking to you when you were telling me all the different things that you're doing in your life and all the projects. And I really connected with that because there's so many things I want to do with my business, so many things I want to do with my time, but it's so restricted by the fact that it's finite,
And time is limited. And
Exactly.
and time is stupid. That is
Very
one of
philosophical.
that is one of my the one of the very I've learned throughout this journey that time is stupid.
Why?
Because it goes fast, it goes slow, like such a precise and finite thing. The concept of it changes, right? Depending on what's happening. I will look up, like take today for example. I woke up in plenty of time to get here to do this interview, right? And I live all of an 8-minute walk away. So not that difficult. So I keep that in my brain. 8-minute walk. If I give myself 10 minutes, I should be good to go. I want to get there a little bit early. So I start doing that math in whatever time. I wake up in enough time. I start moving around the apartment, I check my watch. What the hell? Where'd the time go? How is it already? I got to hurry up and rush now. So I start rushing, getting everything together, make sure I got everything together. And even though I'm rushing, I feel like time started to go tick, tick. Oh, okay. So I don't have to rush. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Then when I settle, and then my wife comes home, we start talking. I got to get out of here. So I gather everything and get out. And luckily, I got here in relatively enough time
You
to
made it.
do this interview. But still, like just that aspect, and on a grander scale, we've only been in Playa a little over 2 months,
Yeah.
right? But we've
But
done
it's
so
flown by,
much.
right?
It's flown by. I have to remind myself that, it's already November. And we got here in August.
Yeah. 2025 will be here before you know it.
Insane. Insane. That's what I mean by I say time is stupid.
Yeah, and I've also found it really interesting, like to piggyback on that, it's like this flow state. When you're doing something that you enjoy, time changes completely again. So like when I'm doing yoga, for example, or when I'm really enjoying writing a blog post or something for my website, it's like time doesn't really exist. And then you kind of look at the clock and you're like, oh, where did that go? Whereas, the 5 hours, if you would have been doing something you hated, it would have felt very different. So I totally agree.
Yeah, I love that. I love that time is stupid, but I also hate it,
Yeah.
When I look at things like my friend, because we don't have any kids, and when I look at pictures of my friends' kids that I remember as a baby, and now I'm looking at them and they're like 2 or 3 and they're running around, or they're fucking grown. And it's like, wait, what? What?
Yeah.
You were this little teenager running around and now you got a baby? Like, that's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh, especially when you're removed from it and you keep coming back into markers of time.
Yeah.
I think that is stupid.
I also read something the other day that travel is a good way to slow down time. And it kind of made me think about it because I don't know if you've had this experience, but when you travel, you're very like in the moment, especially if you're on like a short trip or the time is much more limited because you know that you don't have months or years to spend there. So you're living every day as if it's like very precious. So you're almost slowing down time because you're aware of everything happening.
Kinda. That happens for me on cruise ships.
Okay.
Cruise ships feel like a lot longer than they actually are until you're headed home. Then you want it to slow down and it feel like it's going too fast because you don't want this trip to end or what have you. But yeah, I get that on cruising, the slowing down, and I love that. I love that aspect as well. I also love that, like when I do these interviews. Well, this is something I'm passionate about. I love talking to people. Like I'm loving getting to know you. I'm so thrilled that there's another Disney nerd close by that we can talk about.
You never told me your favorite film.
Oh, you didn't ask.
Okay, welcome.
My number one all-time favorite Disney is Lion King is number one.
Mhm.
Aladdin is number two.
Are you a fan of the remake?
It was okay. Every remake to me has been just okay. I recognize the money grab that it is,
Completely.
and yeah, it's enjoyable to see these characters portrayed by in quote unquote real life or whatever. Did it need it? No, not at all. You know, but is it
Yeah.
okay? Yeah, it's okay. And I think my third is The Incredibles.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that one.
Well, I'm a big superhero nerd, and so Marvel nerd, and I'm staying away particularly from the Marvel and aspect of Disney, like
You're
because
staying
it's
away
like,
from it?
well, no, I'm not staying away from it, but when I start listing my favorite Disney movies, I'm not throwing Marvel in that mix because that would
Okay.
change everything. I'm going specifically like
Would change everything.
Disney pre their
Original.
acquisition of Marvel. Right. One of my Disney favorite movies of all time is like Mary Poppins.
Okay.
You're
Because of the
right. Like
British.
I love right. Mary Poppins is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
And The Black Hole.
I've never heard of it. You'll have
I
to enlighten
know.
me.
I know you haven't. Black Hole is this one small Disney movie. It was the very first Disney movie that ever scared me.
Okay.
Because Disney was always, I mean, relatively lighthearted, even though there's those
Yeah, you know there's always a happy ending.
elements. Right. The Black Hole was this space movie about this ship. It's very much kind of like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but in space.
Okay.
Right. So this maniacal dude has a giant spaceship, and these people are on there, and they're trying to whatever, and he goes crazy and starts trying to kill folks. And there's like these giant robot battles, and there's space battles, and
Is it set in the future?
Yes, yeah, and he's trying to steer the ship into a black hole, and I'm like, no, it's going to destroy us, and he thinks no, it's the pathway to another dimension, to another realm, and and this was done like in the 70s, I think.
Oh, so like very ahead of its time.
Right. Let me look it up. Thank God we have these little pocket computers.
They know everything.
They know everything. 1979.
Okay. I look forward to seeing the awful special effects and CGI.
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, looking back on it, I watched it recently. I used to own a VHS copy of it. I watched it recently. I'm like, this is bad. Oh, this is the writing's not good.
Nostalgic because you enjoy it from the memories.
I was 8 years old, right? I was 8 years old watching it, and it was freaky, and it's about space, and I knew nothing about space. Space seemed very terrifying, and it still does, right? But I look now, I got a 41% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Does it have a happy ending?
It has a very weird, bizarre ending.
It was all a dream.
The spoiler alert, they end up going into the black hole.
Oh,
they can't
I wasn't
avoid
expecting
it.
that.
Yeah, and I don't even remember what the outcome of it. I just remember the freakiness of them going in to this black hole and what they assumed would happen to the mind and the body, whatever. I love.
As you're saying this, like it's making me think it would be a really good attraction in the park.
Oh, I'm surprised it wasn't. And it may have been way back in the day, right? When they did like right before their Captain EO or their what was the other one called where you were an astronaut in Tomorrowland? Oh, you haven't been to Disneyland?
No, not the one in California.
Yeah, you've been to Disney. In Disneyland, there was in Tomorrowland there was an attraction where you would shrink down, and there was in the future.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it, but whatever it is. Disney nerds, write in the comments what that was.
Somebody will know.
Somebody will tell us. But yeah. So that's why it's hard to say what my favorite movies are, because I have so many varieties. Live action, those animated. Lion King is by far the easiest one.
Yeah. Have you
That I
seen the
really.
stage version? This always makes me so emotional.
I did. Yeah. We and they did an animal. No, I saw it. So I got to see Lion King in Las Vegas,
Wow.
where they did a shortened version of the full Broadway
Mhm.
musical, which I was not ready to have it still be as emotional.
Yeah, it hits you, and like you're just transported back in time. Honestly, the
Right.
first opening note of Circle of Life, it's like, oh,
Yeah. It's I can hear it now. I can hear it now in my mind. I'm hearing it right now as we're talking. So yeah, we'll have to have a Disney watch party together.
yes, sounds
We'll
good.
have to go. Do you watch the new Marvel stuff? Are you into any of that the Disney Marvel stuff? Is that your
Not
bag?
really. No.
No.
I mean, like, I did get into it a little bit more on the cruise ship because in the kids club all the rooms are themed. So there was
Okay.
like a Marvel room which was like full of the superheroes, and the kids seemed to really like gravitate towards it, something new and exciting, and like they love the action side of it. So I did have to buff up a little bit on the films, but if I was going to watch one, it wouldn't be my first choice.
No. How do you feel about the current pathway of like the Disney animation side of it?
In terms of like the new films?
Like quality and and storytelling and
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that they're doing a lot more diversity and they're trying to tell different stories. Sometimes it feels a little bit forced,
right.
if I'm honest. And sometimes it feels like lots of remakes of original stories, which I don't want destroying because I loved them when I was a kid, you know.
Right. How do you feel about like Pixar? Are you in on the Pixar movies?
Yeah, I like Pixar.
Yeah, I think Pixar, for all the films they've done, I think the majority of them have been amazing. I think they've only missed like a couple of times, and their
Yeah.
misses have always been sequels.
I've just seen the new Inside Out 2, which I loved. I don't know if you've
I
seen
was
it
about to
yet.
say I saw it. I loved it
Yeah.
100%. I thought I was very curious about where they could go with it, and I saw the trailers and I was skeptical. I saw it in Spain.
In Spanish?
No. I don't know Spanish that well. I saw it with
It's a
English
good way to learn.
subtitles. Yeah, either or maybe I'm trying to think of how recently it came out. I don't think we
I
were
think like
here yet.
June-ish.
Yeah, so I definitely saw it in Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and loved it. Went to the movie theaters. To had waited for English and the subtitles.
Yeah. I'm glad
No,
that they didn't ruin it.
no, I saw it in England. In the
Okay.
in the UK. We're in the UK for a couple months because we had to buy us some time in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to the movies. We're staying at St. Leonard's on the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been?
Nope. I honestly, people ask me about England, and I'm like, I'm the worst person to ask because I've traveled a lot of other places except
You had to get out.
England.
You had to get out. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let me ask you this before, and I'll get back to this. Do you think, or what are your thoughts around the phrase "it's a small world"? Also, being a Disney nerd, let me know what you.
I was going to say, what is the context of that?
So,
Yeah.
just
It's just making me think of the
traveling.
annoying song in the back of my head.
But in traveling, right?
Mhm.
Like, have you ever ran across somebody in a place you did not expect to see somebody, or find some kind of connection out in the world that seemed random or coincidental, but it was also magical in this moment?
Yeah, so I don't believe in things being random or coincidental. I feel like everything happens for a reason.
And that's why I said seeming. That's why I said seeming.
Yeah. Some people believe in that, but I think everybody we meet, we're meant to meet for a reason. They either teach us something or we teach them. But yeah, definitely I've met people across the world, and then we connect on Facebook and we're like, oh, you have this mutual friend. Like, how do you know this person? And it's always surprising, but I think it shows how connected humans are. There's this saying, I think it's, you're only 7 people away from anybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Like
we call
the law of separation or something.
Yeah. We label that in the States the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Okay.
Because
you're only
Yeah, you're only 6 degrees away. 6 degrees of separation, right?
Mhm.
You're only 6 people away from whatever. And I bring it up because, and I talk about it on another episode of the podcast, being from UK and the fact you say you have traveled around the UK is really interesting. I have friends from the UK. Shout out to Bree and Sam. I'm doing karaoke here in Playa at a bar called Negro Model. And it's the end of the night, closing it out. This British couple stumble in. They've been out partying. It's the Day of the Dead.
Yeah, nice.
They've been drinking, having a good time. The girl is a singer, so she joins me on the song. And the guy's kind of cheering her on and also trying to get her to leave at the same time. And we finished the song. It was great. We did David Bowie and Queen Under Pressure.
Nice.
And she goes, oh, I want to sing one more song. So she sings this song that she knows in Spanish. And, he's bragging, yeah, she's a singer. She did this and she's singing in Spanish. She doesn't really know Spanish. It's amazing. And I start talking to him. And of course, I told you in the beginning of this, I love the English accent. So I am enthralled by these people talking. And we start talking and I said, yeah, I have a friend in Tring and Cheshire. So I've started listening to places that I know in
Cheshire is where I'm
England.
from.
Really?
Yeah, like I always say Manchester because nobody's heard of Cheshire.
I've heard of Cheshire. I have friends in Cheshire.
No way.
And Tring, those two areas, Tring, right? And so I mentioned Tring. He goes, yeah, there's a brewery in Tring that I've worked with before. He apparently works at a brewery wherever he's from. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. My friend works at the brewery in Tring as well. He goes, yeah, I know this guy named Sam from Tring. And I stopped dead in my tracks. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
No way. Like, what are the chances?
The only guy I know in Tring works at the brewery, and it just so happens to be the only guy you mentioned from what must be hundreds of employees is the one guy you mentioned that I know. And we meet each other randomly at a bar after karaoke
in Mexico.
in Playa del Carmen, right? At the night of the Day of the Dead, and you stumble in, right? At the end of the night, when the group that I was hanging out with left, and I was tempted to leave with them, but I said, "No, karaoke is my addiction," and so I said, "No, I'm going to keep singing until they make me stop." Like how seemingly random is that? It's amazing. So of course we take a selfie. I send it to my boy Sam. He's like, "No way!" I'm like, how crazy is that? Yeah. I say all that to say I love this kind of stuff. And the world is small and Playa is tiny.
Yeah. Everybody knows everybody through some connection or through some group or through some class.
I tell you what, you didn't know that, and I didn't mention it the day of when we're headed to the networking meeting, right? You're wearing this very beautiful sunflower dress or sunflower outfit.
My sunflower dungarees. Yeah.
Loved it. Very beautiful. And I saw you walking, like I marked you, and I was like, oh, that's a nice outfit. Oh, that's very. Oh, interesting. You know how you see people walking around and you mark whatever. And then make my way to, and there you are.
No way, I had no idea.
And I'm all, how is the one person out of this sea of people that I notice and mark, oh, interesting. I like the cut of her jib. Turned out to be, oh, that's the person that I'm going to get a chance to meet. Oh, that's amazing. So I love how small and how tiny Playa is and how small the world is. And Meg, I sincerely thank you for coming on the podcast. We'll have to do this again.
Yes.
100%. Let's do. I'll take out the official business. Where, if my listeners want to find you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Mega Language Coach, and same name on my website. And then I also have LinkedIn, where I'm trying to connect with business professionals. And I'd love to hear from anybody that has experiences or wants to learn business English.
Perfect. And you said you have a website, correct?
Yeah, megalanguagecoach.com.
Megalanguagecoach.com. Perfect. We'll put that in the link in the description below. But in the meantime, thank you again, Meg. Hope to see you soon. And safe travels.
Thank you.
Welcome back, listeners. Thank you so much. I hope you really enjoyed that interview. Meg is a wonderful person. I can't wait till we meet again, hang out. Can't wait to teach you some Mahjong. If you need her help with business and business English, rather, and you want some language instruction, check out megalanguagecoach.com. It's amazing. Of course, I put all the links down below. If you have any questions for Meg, reach out to her directly on her Instagram or send us an email. You can send us an email over at bigsexynomad@gmail.com. We'll definitely ask those questions and we'll talk about it. We'd love to hear from you. Any thoughts you had on the interview. As always, guys, don't forget to get our merch at whereisbigsexy.com. That's WEAR is bigsexy.com. Wear like you're wearing clothes. And also, if you want to subscribe to the podcast, if you feel that this podcast is worth more than $0, swing on over to bullwiththebutthole.com, where you too can become a big, sexy world traveler. Have your name read out at the beginning of the show like those other fine folks. I'm looking forward to when I have to change that introduction. So please make me do so by signing up. You can join the community for free, but we appreciate that. You want to just join the community, not a problem. Happy to have you with us. But we'd also would love it if you help subscribe to the podcast. Give us your support. It would help out with things like, equipment, make this better for you. All the money will go to making this a much better experience for our sexy world travelers. We appreciate y'all. And again, that's bullwiththebutthole.com. Don't hesitate to go there. We thank y'all very much for tuning in, listening. Again, be sure to check out our sponsor over at cruisehabit.com. Our friends Billy and Larissa are wonderful.
Cruisehabit.com/BSDN.
And without any further ado, in the meantime, safe travels.